let's talk a little bit about your career, because it has been a wild ride for you, to say the least.
Yeah.
When we talk about mixed martial arts, which is primarily our focus here, you hit the scene 95. You applied to the UFC, if I got that right, and they decided to take you, and they talk about this backstory where you had 200 street fights, and of course they went with the name Tank, and they did some different things. Talk about that whole process where they kind of crafted something to kind of maybe build you up a little bit more. Whereas I think you probably already had some pretty good street fighting credentials anyways, but at the same time, they wanted to really go over the top and hit you with that backstory.
I was working at a liquor store while I was going to college, and I would look through the Playboys. I don't know why, but they had advertising.
I have an idea why, but yeah.
Being in college and the whole 9 yards, even though I was a late bloomer. But anyways, they had like advertisements in these things for the Ultimate Fighting. Anyway, so I go, wow, I wonder if this is real or not. And then so anyways, as the story to shorten it, anyways, I ended up getting in trouble driving home from that liquor store. This guy was having it out with his wife, or his girlfriend actually, and they were in an intersection, and then he diverted his anger towards me, and then I had to stop the car and get out and ask him what his problem was, and he ended up punching me, and I ended up ending the fight and going to jail for 180 days, just only because his dad was a police officer in the town I worked at. It's a pretty documented story. Anyways, so I go to jail. I get out on work release. Where you had to go to a probation like jail for the night, but you got out 12 hours to work during the day. So I was working with my friend and his dad's company, and he goes, did you see this Ultimate Fighting thing? And I said, yes. He goes, oh, I got to get you into this. And he goes, you'd actually fight now? I go, that's made for me, man. That's what I do. I was in the boxing gym every day just going, God, why can't they have a thing of real fighting? I'd fight Mike Tyson right now and rip his head off in the street. And I go, but it's no one knows that. They think boxing is fighting. It's the furthest thing from it. And so that goes on, and he just picked up the phone and started calling Art Davey. And Art Davey answered his calls and was like going, oh, wow. And he goes, this is a martial arts show. You can't just have some guy come in off the street and fight. And we go, well, no, he's like a all-American wrestler. He's been in boxing. He's going to go, and he fights everywhere on the street. You walk around this town at Huntington Beach, everybody knew I was actually, amongst other things that had been stolen from me, I was from the Huntington Beach bad boy. I was the true person that was the Huntington Beach bad boy that got stolen. I don't give a rat's ass about it anyway.
Well, see, now I'm about to say, now we got to veer into that, because I actually had it on my list, because he accompanied you to the ring, I think a few times, right? I mean, and
he's a con man, and he knows how to do it, act like a con man. So he worked his way into my training camp, which, mind you, there was no training for this, but there was an open wrestling room, and we just kind of semi-fought Paul Herrera and Eddie Reese. And Paul Herrera was his high school coach. So I needed a bigger, taller guy to work with. And I said, yeah, I'll work with the kid. And then he came along, and he was working his angle. I just saw his thing on last night, ironically, came up on my phone, and I've admitted to this. This is a guilty pleasure of mine. But watching the Tito Ortiz Uncaged thing.
Okay.
I only watch it because he's such an idiot and he trips up. It's like hysterical. Like who could mess up a show that you're producing?
So was there a time with Tito where, you know, things broke down? Was there a moment in time, or is it just something that happened gradually?
He's waiting outside for me and asked me if he could borrow $500. And I know the character of people like Tito. And I said, if I had it, I would give it to you. But I don't have it, bro. And he's like, oh, okay. Kind of trying to make me the bad guy. And I'm like, dude, I mean, like, when did I come in here to be your bank? You know what I mean? And
yeah.
So that goes down. And then practice would end. And then I'd keep rolling in a barrel with Stephen Neal, and Paul Herrera was training with me at the time. And we would be up there banging, and after practice, 10 minutes or so, we get ready to leave, and Tito's gone and everybody's gone. So we walk out, and Tito's sitting in my truck. And I'm like going, what the hell's that about? And I had this little mid-sized GMC truck, and walking up, and I'm like, oh, why is he in my truck? What the hell's he doing? He's sitting on the passenger side. Well, don't think anything of it. Then the next day, 2, 3, don't think anything of it. I go wrestle or go fight. Hugo Duarte, knocked the living daylights out of him. Having a good time. You know, it was back in the days when the banks sent you checks. By the way, this is the first time I ever talked about this on air.
Okay. Well, we got the scoop.
Yes, you do. And I got more, if many. But anyway, so yeah, so I come back with, I'm looking through my checks in the envelope. You know, it's back in the day when they returned them. And so I'm going through my checks. And there's a check written out to Tito's brother that used to own an appliance shop. And it was made to his brother. And I had a business name for my checks. And where the signature was just scribbled out my business name. And it was, guess how much it was for? And guess what date it was?
I'm guessing $500.
And it was the day after.
Yeah.
And
wow.
And I'm like going, oh my God, the guy was in my in my truck when we walked out on him. And the thing is that when I would be driving around and I go get money out of the ATM, this actually happened. And I should have known better, but I go through the drive-through and I reach out the window and I'm getting ready to push the buttons, and something told me I had sense about it. Turn around right now. And I turn around right now. Tito's leaning forward trying to get my bank number.
Oh, God. Wow.
And I look at him. I go, what are you doing? And he goes, ha, 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 ha.